Hi, I'm Jism, and today we're going to talk about this old website named Toon Tracker. There are actually two versions of Toon Tracker today, one at toontracker.net, which is run by the site's original creator but has much less content than it did in previous iterations and hasn't been updated in over 6 years, and another, an archive that I created with as much of the original content as I could find that I'm hosting on NeoCities. If you're familiar with GeoCities, the free web host that was shut down by Yahoo in 2009, NeoCities effectively serves as a replacement, letting anyone who makes an account with them host their own website, and due to its ease of use and social features, I think it's the best of the GeoCities clones out there. Anyway, Toon Tracker is a site I discovered while looking through archives of other cartoon-related GeoCities back in 2016. One of them had a banner promoting Toon Tracker, a site that impressed me right off the bat with a depth of animation coverage none of the other sites even came close to. This version of Toon Tracker from the mid-2000s is the first version I encountered, with the bright colors and GIFs galore that made the early internet so fun. This is the original version of the site on GeoCities, and according to this page, it started on October 20th, 1996. The internet didn't become widespread until 95, so if Toon Tracker wasn't the first website to specialize in documenting and preserving old cartoons, it was certainly one of the first. Discussing Toon Tracker would be impossible without discussing the man who created and actively maintained it for over a decade, Ron Kurer. The Journal Times interviewed Kurer back in 2002, describing him as a cartoon fan who never outgrew his boyhood love for Hanna-Barbera, Warner Brothers, and other cartoons. When explaining why he made Toon Tracker, Kurer said, "My idea is to preserve some of the things you're not going to find. I kind of look at it as a museum or an archive." He sought out older, more obscure cartoons, the kind of cartoons the then 45-year-old Kurer enjoyed himself growing up. The oldest cartoon he owned was one of the oldest cartoons ever made, 1914's Gertie the Dinosaur. The rarest was The Beagles, which you can probably tell from the title is a parody of the Beatles but with dogs. A show so rare only 3 episodes of it exist online, including the episode or part of an episode Kurer uploaded to YouTube himself. The hardest cartoon for Kurer to find was this Adventures of Pow Wow short, and if you don't know what the Adventures of Pow Wow is, lucky you. The Beagles episode and Pow Wow short are just 2 of the many animated artifacts Kurer was able to dig up and put on his website for a whole new generation to experience. My favorite show growing up was SpongeBob SquarePants, a cartoon currently owned by a failing corporation. My dad's favorite cartoon growing up was Mighty Mouse, which coincidentally is owned by that same failing corporation. While classic cartoons from Disney and Warner Brothers have gotten official releases on DVD and streaming, Mighty Mouse has gotten nothing. The 80s reboot, Mighty Mouse The New Adventures, did get a full DVD release, and that's a very good show that everyone should watch, but it's not the original shorts, and unless you're really committed to going through YouTube playlists, you're going to have a hard time finding most of the shorts. The only Mighty Mouse short that I remember getting to see as a kid is Woof Woof, and that's because it pulled a Steamboat Willie and fell into the public domain earlier than any of the other shorts, meaning it wound up in tons of cheap, classic cartoon compilations. I would have loved to have seen more of this thing that my dad loved, and that Kurer apparently loved too, judging by the fact that he gave Mighty Mouse a prominent spot in Toon Tracker's logo and made it the site's fave icon. When discussing Terry Toons, the company that created Mighty Mouse before getting bought out by a worse company, he gives them a 5-part series, culminating in The Origin of Mighty Mouse. Most of the information on Toon Tracker can be found with a simple Google search today, but the Toon descriptions and episode guides were never its main draw. The treasure trove of Toon media, including pictures, videos, and audio that still don't exist anywhere else on the internet, is what really brought it all coming back to you. And unfortunately, due to the software Toon Tracker relied on for its first decade of existence, much of what they found has been lost again. The Abbott and Costello cartoon show, which animated one of the biggest comedy duos of all time in Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, followed a trend that began with the New Three Stooges in 1965 and continued with Laurel and Hardy in 1966, premiering in the fall of 1967 and, just like the shows it followed, airing 156 segments during its lone season. It's also the first show to appear on Toon Tracker's sidebar, not because it's particularly good, but because Abbott's name appears first on pretty much anything sorted by alphabetical order. While the new Three Stooges has gotten multiple full releases due to being in the public domain, and there are tons of Laurel and Hardy episodes available online, the Abbott and Costello cartoon show is owned by Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers doesn't care much about it. It never got rerun on Boomerang, it had a single episode released on One Cartoon Collection more than 10 years ago, and considering how willing the people who currently run Warner Brothers are to keep animated content inaccessible forever if they think it will cost $1 more to put out than it will make them back, it's very, very unlikely to get an official release from them anytime soon. Toon Tracker had an episode of the Abbott and Costello show named The Purple Baron on their website, and if it had been linked to directly, it likely would have been archived by the Wayback Machine, and it would have been easy to bring back. Only it wasn't. The Purple Baron was linked to as an RAM file, and any media encoding enthusiast watching this would know that RAM files aren't actual media files, but shortcuts to media files. Today, if you want to listen to a song, you'll open Apple Music or Spotify, and if you want to watch a show or a movie, you'll open Netflix or YouTube. But none of these existed for most of Toon Tracker's development. In the late 90s and early 2000s, your only options for sharing media were either to upload it directly to your website and let users download it, which in the days of dial-up would take forever even for short videos, or you could stream it to your users, giving them small chunks of the content from wherever it's hosted on the internet as they watch or listen to it. That's basically what YouTube and Spotify do today, but with modern internet speeds, it's no different than watching or listening to something you downloaded yourself. Before YouTube and Spotify, the biggest name in streaming media was the app Real Player. Anyone who wanted to share music or video through a personal website would often do it through a streaming media file, or an RAM, created through Real Player, and using Real Player's app or the browser plugin, users would then be able to stream that file to their own devices, unless, of course, the original file ceases to exist. Opening the Purple Baron's RAM file in Notepad, you'll see that it contains the location of the file Real Player would stream from, if it had one. So ToonTracker.com, as well as every file hosted on ToonTracker.com, no longer exists, so trying to stream from it through Real Player won't work, meaning the Abbott and Costello show episode, The Purple Baron, will remain lost media, technically. I was able to find a different copy of the episode on YouTube without much effort, but I knew it was a different copy than the one that was on Toon Tracker because everyone is speaking Greek. That's Greek. I didn't know what Greek sounded like before watching this, but I do now. I was able to find many more episodes of the show uploaded to YouTube, and the vast majority of them were in English, but I was only able to find the Spanish dub of the episode 40 Thieves. By last count, there are 40 segments currently on YouTube, and 38 of them can be found in English. Though there are 156 segments in total, that's not a bad amount considering the show hasn't had an official release on home video. Though I couldn't find an English version of the Purple Baron on the Wayback Machine, I found another piece of lost media by accident while looking for it. The Laurel and Hardy episode, Bird Brains. Now, the episode wasn't horrible quality, but it was still an episode that didn't exist anywhere else in English, and that I know for a fact isn't on YouTube in any language because I looked for a long time in the hopes that I could find a better quality video to pair with the audio I found. I even got desperate enough to search Dailymotion, and I couldn't find anything there either. I eventually found a German dub on a German streaming site with way better video quality, so I'll be putting it together and posting it to my channel after I finish this. Laurel and Hardy, like most shows covered by Toon Tracker, come from a time when animation was thought of as a lower art form, something kids watched on Saturday mornings and eventually forgot about, which led to studios forgetting about them too. Ron Kurer clearly did not forget about these shows, which is why he made this huge, colorful website devoted to them. A website I archived a few years after it went down because I didn't want the internet to lose it like it's already lost so much due to corporate greed. My hope is that by bringing back the site and upgrading some of its videos to more modern formats, people who loved these shows growing up will be able to revisit them and introduce their own children, or considering how old most of these shows are, their grandchildren to them. Cure couldn't maintain the site forever, and I know I can't maintain it forever either, but as long as people continue to learn about the products of our shared cultural history, they'll never be forgotten. Not completely.